Hey everyone, it's Stephanie and welcome back to my channel. So today I have another Booker Longlist book review for you, and that is The Colony by Audrey Magee. The book opens with this character, Mr. Lloyd, and he is an artist, specifically a painter, and he wants to go to this remote island where they only speak Irish, and he wants the authentic Irish experience so he can create his latest masterpiece, his magnum opus, so to speak. When he gets there, everybody on the island speaks Irish, and there's tension between him and the islanders. And on the island, we have this young man whose English name is James and his Irish name is Seamus, and he is wanting to not really get away from his Irish culture, but he feels like he needs to get away from the island into the more English world in order to really prosper. He's tired of where he's at in life. All Mr. Lloyd wants to do is just paint his paintings. He doesn't care about any of the political stuff or anything that's going on. And he kind of takes James a little under his wing and helps him kind of discover a love for painting and art. We also have, within this book, we'll have like a random page every now and then where it's somebody getting shot and killed. And that's because this is set in the summer of 1979, so there was a lot of violence and politics about the Irish language and English and just that incredibly tense time. So the novel basically, explores the colonization of language or the process of losing your language. We also have a Frenchman that comes along, JP, and he is a linguist. He has made his career studying the language of the people on this island for years, and so he's very protective of their island and preserving their language and culture and identity. And then everybody kind of has their own views on the language and what Mr. Lloyd is taking by painting these landscapes and kind of taking James under his wing. On a positive, I will say this book was very atmospheric. It was very easy for me to feel like I was on the handmade boat at the beginning with Mr. Lloyd and the waves crashing and seeing the island in my mind and the fog. So I did really enjoy the atmosphere of it. I did really enjoy that she included the Irish language in this. I thought that was so interesting to read, and I really appreciated the audiobook because I would not have known how to pronounce those words or some of these names. And I will say, I think the audiobook narrator did a good job with the content they were given. I found this so incredibly tedious. I was hooked for like the first 25 pages, and then I was just so bored, and I would push through, and I have never been so happy to see the back of a book. And I feel horrible because there are so many people that just absolutely love it. And I definitely appreciate what she was trying to do here, and I think the topics and themes that she explores are very, very important and do deserve to be talked about and discussed. I just was not a fan of the execution. And I think the main problem for me was just the writing style. There were so many simple sentences, and it's very dialogue heavy, and she doesn't use quotation marks. So you know that somebody else is talking because it kind of switches lines. But then she also has lines that are short that kind of look like poetry. Like, he turned and dropped his right leg to search for the first step beneath him, his hands gripping the rusting metal as his leg dangled, his eyes tight shut, against the possibilities of catching skin, cutting fingers, blemishing hands, of slipping, on steps, coated in seaweed and slime, of falling into the sea, and just on and on and on. And then it just gets very repetitive after a while. And then they also have, you know, Mr. Lloyd is a painter, and so he does these things where he's envisioning. So he's like, self-portrait 1, falling, you know, with the ladder. Self-portrait 2, drowning. Self-portrait 3, disappearing. And just all these random. And at first I was like, oh, this is interesting. And then it just got so old. It got so old and so irritating. I also just got really irritated at some of this dialogue because I'm like, who talks like this? So just not even a specific scene, but like James and Mr. Lloyd. It'd be like, hi James, how are you? I'm well, Mr. Lloyd, how are you? Mr. James said, well, Mr. Lloyd, this is what we're going to do today. Thank you, James. I really appreciate that, said Mr. Lloyd. And it's like, how many times do you need to use a name on one page? Get over it. Oh my God. It was so repetitive. And it drove me up the freaking wall. I feel so bad because I wanted to like this so much. Because I like the atmosphere of it, but the dialogue and the writing style just did not work for me at all. And when I finished, the first thing I said was, self-portrait, reader throwing a book. And I would have had this not been a library book. But the most interesting parts to me, I wanted to know more about the one-page paragraphs of people that were getting murdered and shot down just for being in the wrong place at the wrong time or not being on the right side. Things like that. And I don't feel like she quite meshed them enough. I get what she was trying to do, but I feel like she needed to do a little bit more and maybe give the novel a little bit more meat on its bones. I feel like a lot of it is very surface level. I don't really feel like I got to know the characters that well. The one character I really did feel like I kind of got to know was James, because we get his perspective in some of this, and my heart really went out to him. But I will probably forget most of this in a couple weeks, and I didn't like it. I'm sorry. I just didn't like it. So I'm sorry if this was a really good book for you and you enjoyed it. It's just not for me. I'm sorry. I hated this book so much. And if I wasn't so determined to review all of the books on the long list, I would have DNF'd this very early on. I'm just waiting for the subscriber count to go down because this is so hyped up and so many people love this. I've seen so many glowing reviews for it. So I will say, if this interests you, give it a shot. You might really like it. And if you don't like the first part of it, you're not going to like the rest of the book, probably. So, have you read this? If so, let me know. Let me know what you thought of it, or if you're planning on reading it. And if you'd like to leave an emoji, leave an ocean or nautical emoji down below. As always, if you liked this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and click the subscribe button if you'd like. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.